I think the first thing you have to do is listen. No one ever learned anything by talking.
Because I think that there is a chance, if we go at it in that way, that we can put together a tough, bold package that will have the support of the American people.
A great leader is someone that can come up with a plan and to get people to buy into the plan.
People are sick and tired of the government taking things away from them without going first and setting an example.
This complete dependence of the Latin American economy on our economic decisions makes it absolutely mandatory that we develop a consistent and a reliable trade policy.
When I was 16, I worked in Washington for George Smathers. I worked in the Senate when Kennedy was president. And I was part of the Senate delegation that went to the funeral. It was one of the most emotional experiences of my life.
But the overwhelming grief that Floridians share with the nation at this hour is in many ways a personal thing. For while President Kennedy's political belief may have been controversial here in this state, he was one of our adopted native sons.
I was probably 18, 19 years old, and I went to the Arlington Cemetery, and the planes flew overhead, and it was quite an experience.
To provide freedom and progress for the people of this hemisphere. So I'm proud to come back to this city when it's its own time, and particularly during the past 12 months, has borne a heavy burden in order to keep this country and the rest of Latin America free.
And when I worked for George Smathers, I met the first mayor of Dade County, was Chuck Hall. And I was 16 or 17 years old, and he had a gray Rolls Royce. I used to drive around. He was a very dapper guy.
I think, however, that the best way to do it, so that people would not look upon me as being particularly subjective, is for me not to run for mayor of Dade County. Therefore, I am not qualifying this morning in the last hours, but I am going to remain a private citizen and work as hard as I can and dedicate myself in the next year to changing Metro into the form of government that the people thought they would have originally when it was sold to them.
And he took me backstage when I was about 19, and I met my wife. She was in the Miss Universe pageant. And he took me to meet a young mayor by the name of Maurice Ferré.
Mayor, by the time it's all over with, we'll have spent about $500,000 to bring the elusive beauty here. Did you get your money's worth tonight?
What a winner. That's all I can say. It was just super. I mean, I saw the tapes, and Miami just looked, it couldn't be better.
My advice to young students today is take a deep breath, because there's so many issues to deal with. I'm concerned about the ability of people to kind of sift through all of the different platforms of information. We're in a time where you don't know what's real, what's not real. You don't know what's truthful, what's not truthful. When I grew up, you listened to Walter Cronkite and you believed everything he said.
To say that we are closer to victory today is to believe, in the face of the evidence, the optimists who have been wrong in the past. To suggest we are on the edge of defeat is to yield to unreasonable pessimism.
Donnie and I went out to FIU, and we saw that it was made such an impact on the community. The students were basically underserved students. They had a great thirst for knowledge. They had a great thirst for education. It was just an emotional movement that both of us felt when we went out there and we saw the struggle that these kids were going through and the amount of dedication they had to get an education. Mitch Medique was president of the university at the time, and he came to me and said, we'd like to build a library. And there wasn't much on the campus. So Donnie and I agreed to build the library. That was 33 years ago. It's still the tallest structure on the campus. It just morphed its way into more and more commitment as we saw more and more what they were doing. They built a law school, they built a medical school, and we just fell in love with the school and the students. Every time I'm concerned about what's going to happen to America, I go out and I see these kids. They're just wonderful students.